check this out, guys. So obviously we're going to be talking about what happened over the weekend when it came to release the Ayer cut and all that stuff. And, it's winding down. You saw my box office video yesterday about The Suicide Squad. But apparently, according to a new interview, we're getting some more details on, somebody just sit down with James Gunn and just ask him the entire process of trying to come up with who he wanted in this movie. Like which characters, because obviously we saw, of course, the behind-the-scenes shots of him when he had Deathstroke and all the concept art. And that was heavy concept art that we saw Deathstroke in. I would like to know why they decided not to go with Deathstroke. I think we wanted to know that question as well. So, and our Taliban ran. Oh, geez, man. Well, Tim, wow, that's crazy. But anyway, so according to James Gunn, he actually considered making Superman the main villain in The Suicide Squad. Now, we kind of joked, I think we actually kind of briefly talked about this. We joked about this, I think, on the past, the vodka stream. Well, I know that Garza was he was really hoping that Superman was going to show up at the end and just have kind of like a cameo. But then it was kind of like, well, what if they did take from that story where they did go after Superman like that? So, James Gunn, Superman. James Gunn, Superman. I know, right? What's going on, Mr. Lobo? How you doing, sir? But yeah, so apparently he considered them going after Superman. Now, that would have been interesting. That would have been pretty interesting. I don't know about you guys, but I think, first off, the reason why they didn't go with Superman, because they didn't know they didn't know what the hell they were doing with Superman. And was it going to be Cavill? Was it going to be somebody else? They didn't know who the hell it was. That's why even James Gunn, earlier, before we found out about this, he was saying, who knows which Superman there is. So, what if it was a star? That's what I was going to bring up, Eric. What if it was a Starro? What if it would have been a Starro controlled Superman or something like that? If there was like a core, but at the same time, it's like, would that have been way too much? You have Starro, you have Superman, might have been way too much. But that would have been very interesting because obviously they would have had to let everybody know why he was kind of evil, I guess, or why they had to stop him. I don't know. Would all have been interesting. And then, if he would have incorporated Bloodsport, would we have seen him use that kryptonite bullet? Because I know some people were kind of wondering, how would Bloodsport get a kryptonite bullet? Obviously, even from the book he was in, the story, it was Lex that pretty much hired him. So, everything always goes back to Lex. Anything that goes up against Superman or kryptonite, it always trails back to Lex. So, it would have been very interesting because I think that if Superman was going to be in the Suicide Squad, they would have had to incorporate Lex Luthor. He would have had to been in there. We would have had to have some kind of Luthor in there. So, can you imagine if that actually went through and it was Henry Cavill and it was Jesse Eisenberg? That would have been very interesting. So, yeah. Yeah, I know. What if it was a Starro? That's what we were just talking about too, Alex. Is what if Starro there was something that happened where maybe Superman went to that facility and something happened where then all of a sudden he started getting, he's got the thing on his face. Could you imagine that? Them fighting a Superman with, with the little Starro face hugger? That's a little creepy. I'm not going to lie. When it comes to the little face huggers, that's kind of like a horror element to the story. It is creepy. When you see those things flying out of them and they start just landing on people's faces, that was creepy. When I watched it again, I went, you know what? There's a pretty good horror element right here that they could have captured probably a little bit more with all that. But there is definitely a horror element when it comes to Starro and his little face hugger guys. So I don't know. Team A, Suicide Squad should have been controlled by Starro like Boomer. Oh, yeah, that would have been interesting too, yeah. There's some missed opportunities, of course, that they had, but it's just interesting that, yeah, he would have had him like that. And I love the fact that they used the black suit Superman, too, right here in this image right here. But, yeah, I just, I don't know, I like that idea, and I don't also, but I'm kind of, curious, where could they have gone with that? And who would they incorporated? And would there have been a Lois Lane right there, Eric? She would have been a part of it because they would have had to have Lex in there. There would have had to been a conversation about Lex being part of this whole thing. So I don't know. Just seems like they wanted him to do Superman. Good old Toby wanted James Gunn to do Superman. He didn't want to do Superman, but he wanted to incorporate Superman in Suicide Squad. So interesting, very interesting. Anyways, yeah. So I don't know how we feel about that, but I mean, obviously it should be. I wonder if any of the Starro babies are still alive. Yeah, that is true too, because I mean that's something you got to get rid of. Those things are basically parasites, right? So I don't know, but I think Superman. I don't know if a javelin would have been good for Harley Quinn to attack Superman with. Just saying.